everybody. I'm making this video for a couple of reasons. One of which was the last time I made a video with regards to the bead animal setup. My AC was going on in the background. Became very loud. I didn't realize it at the time, but I just want to show how quiet, at least quieter than most overflow systems, this system actually is. So here's the actual overflow, the outer box. It's become a lot dirtier than last time when I first set it up. Of course this can be clean, but to me it's not a really big deal. You could always remove these, pull them out. They're not actually glued in there, so you could just pull them out, wash the box. Again, not a big deal to me. So here it is, the system, fairly quiet. And of course I have a cover on it, makes it a lot quieter. I have it off for this purpose. The second reason I wanted to make this video was for the simple fact that I wanted to show how this system would be kind of like a safe, fail-safe mode with some kind of clog, whether it be like some kind of snail or a fish or something that actually gets trapped in here. Also, I wanted to show this area. This is an area that I kind of fabricated with egg crate, and you can't really see it here, but actually here, let me just show you. So I put an egg crate under there, put this here. This traps a lot of food and stuff. I rinse this off every time I do a water change. Gets rather filthy, and you can see it gets filthy back here. So this whole system really gets filthy really quick. So there's a reason why you need to do a lot of water changes with especially a big group of discus like this. Again, I'm going to simulate a clog. This is my main siphon here. This being my main siphon, if this obviously gets clogged, the point of this whole system is that the next one up, which is this one, the open channel pipe, this one will actually pick up all the extra slack from this one being clogged. So in theory, what's going to happen is this gets clogged up. I'm going to clog that up with this piece of acrylic. So that'll simulate a clog. This will then turn into a full siphon, or at least it will. It'll alternate, and I'll show what I mean in a second. Again, this is the ball valve. You can't really see it right here. It's pretty dark. Let me raise my ISO here. Well, again, you can't really see it. It's really dark, but this has an adjustment valve. You always dial it back a little bit for the full siphon. You don't want it to be open all the time because you want some of the water to go through the open channel in order for this system to be silent. If you have this wide open, it'll be rather noisy, and it'll keep fluctuating. So again, I'll show you what I mean in a second. I'm gonna try to simulate this clog, and when I do that, my camera might get a little shaky because I have to pry in here with this. So I'll try to keep it in view here. Not sure how successful I'll be with that. There you go. All right, so let me get the towel here. We've simulated a clog. So here you see the water rising, never quite gets to the emergency drain. You could obviously hear it gets a lot louder, and you actually see here the water actually reaches that that's airline tubing there. So what's happening here is, with this being clogged, of course the main siphon line being clogged, the water raises in the outer overflow box. It's only natural that it does, because it's not getting the full siphon effect any longer. So the open channel turns into the full siphon line. So it switches roles from an open channel into a full siphon. However, once it turns into a full siphon and the water level actually rises to where this airline hose is, the whole line itself actually becomes a wide open siphon. So as you remember here, we've dialed this back just a little bit in order for this open line to receive a little bit of water. But now with this being clogged and this becoming a full siphon, it's basically a full siphon, a full open channel without a ball valve, in this case a gate valve, to close it. So it's rising up all the way up, and once it gets up there, it becomes wide open, and it could push a lot of gallons per hour through it. So it drains the water back down a little bit, and so it keeps alternating back and forth. Of course, it becomes noisy. At this point, you obviously hear that there was a problem with your system being clogged, but obviously what this whole system does, it prevents a flood. Basically, it just prevents a flood. It audibly lets you hear that there's something wrong with the system. Obviously, there's still a block here. That acrylic is the block. Let's say it's a snail or something. So it's become a problem. This has become the full siphon. Now, if this were to get clogged, lastly, we have this in place. This is the full emergency. So if this gets clogged and this gets clogged, this becomes the absolutely last alternative here. And the water will rise up to this level, and of course the emergency upturn elbow can handle a lot of water going through it. Upwards of 2,000 gallons per hour, I believe it is. Higher than that, you'd have to go with wider PVC, and then it can handle more. But for my purposes, that's well more than enough than I would need. I'm only pumping about 600 gallons per hour here in this system, so I don't definitely need that. So do you see what's going on up here? It keeps alternating water going up and down. I'll show you down here. What's happening is obviously this system is no longer a very quiet system. You see all those air bubbles? We don't want all those air bubbles in this system. Of course, the siphon line is completely blocked here. This becomes useless in the first chamber. We have no water going over this here like it normally would, so this remains dry. This filter, while it still remains active in the sense that water is passing through the whole system, it no longer is a beneficial filter, and for all intents and purposes becomes stagnant in these first sections. Again, this is in place to audibly show you, hey, there's something wrong with the system. Something needs to be done. There's some kind of clog or something. At that point, hopefully you get home, realize there's a problem, and fix the problem. But again, while there is a problem, your tank isn't flooded, and it isn't flooding your house at the same point. So we'll go back to normal here. We'll remove the clog. Again, being this piece of acrylic, right? Water goes back down, goes through the three pass-through holes here. You can't really see it in this angle, but goes back to normal. This is normal operating levels. Quiets down in a second. Let me get my towel. I just kind of threw it here on the floor. And again, we go back to the first section, overflowing again. That's the first section. Sorry, my filter floss is rather dirty. You get the point. It goes through these chambers, pour-it foam chamber, ceramic rings. Got a whole bunch of ceramic rings down there. Then it goes down through that section. I'm not sure if I can focus here with one hand. Goes down to that section, goes under and over, and of course I've shown you this area of the filter. Under, over on the left hand side, you see there, that's the last baffle up and down section before it goes into the return section. I have a couple of sponge filters down here, a couple of Eheim filters, heaters, sorry. Eheim 1260 pump goes up back into the tank, spray bar, and at this point it's quieted down to normal operating. Operating. You see there's no more bubbles here. When the whole system was clogged, there was a whole bunch of bubbles coming out of the spray bar. I can close this back up here. This is all to reduce noise, really. When I introduced this this port foam with egg crate, it definitely made the system more audible. However, for me it was a compromise between not wanting my smaller discus in my overflow, which did happen. Normally you would have this without that in place. This would just be a skimming overflow, and it's a whole lot quieter without it. But anyways, that's a simulated clog in the system. Hope you enjoyed the video. Get to a better understanding of how this bean animal system works. It's been going strong for well over a month now. Have absolutely no issues with it whatsoever. That sump is incredible. It's a pain in the butt to clean, but it's still a very, very nice sump setup as well. So that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll try to answer it however I can.